Thank you guys for tuning into the special edition of Outside the Shop. See right here, we got the money right here, gambling edition. We are going to, for this episode of Outside the Shop, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about on my regular sports podcast, Patriots Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, the whole 9 yards there. I'm going to specifically be talking about gambling. I'm going to you guys 3 guaranteed bets for this weekend. I was doing one of my guaranteed bets last weekend. The only one I missed, Texans versus the New England Patriots. And you want to know what Davis Mills had the game of his life. When do you guys think that is going to happen again? Probably not. Also, by the way, thank you to everybody who's tuning in via Facebook Live, Twitter/Periscope, and YouTube live stream. Like, comment, and subscribe on the descriptions below. Jalen Hurts. Is he the answer in Philadelphia Thursday night football game? A little anticlimactic against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and also Derrick Henry. Why he should be MVP of the league over guys like Brady, over guys like Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. If you want to take on that, then check on the link below. So here's first what we have. So let's start out this. Bills at Tennessee. This is a plus 5.5 point spread. I'm going with the Bills to cover, and I'm going with the Bills to go over 53. That's the line there, too. For the over-under, I'm going to go over 53. The Bills have been the best team in football for the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've only had one bad game, that debacle against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my biggest guarantee. There is no way the Bills do not win by anything less than 10 points. They drummed out Washington. They drummed out the Dolphins. They also drummed out the Texans, and then they drummed out the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. They dominated them. So I don't think what makes anybody think that Tennessee is going to be able to do something different. And places like Arrowhead are not easy places to get double-digit wins on the road, right? They were able to hold the prolific Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, Travis Kelce to only 20 points. I know people are going to mention the running game with Derrick Henry, but I think the Bills can stifle it. The Bills also have a top 5 rushing defense in the NFL, so I think that's going to be an issue. They're going to be able to load the box. They're going to stop Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's not going to be able to dominate this game like he normally is, and also the Tennessee Titans defense has not been very good. Their corners aren't spectacular. I think the front seven gets pushed around. James Robinson for the Jacksonville Jaguars was having like 8 yards per carry against them last past weekend. So I think the Bills are going to be able to dominate in that fashion as well. And let's also remember the Titans have struggled this year. These are not the Tennessee Titans of old, the Tennessee Titans that made it to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. These are the Tennessee Titans who got blown out by the Arizona Cardinals, who lost to the New York Jets. That's only win of the season against the Tennessee Titans. So I think you look at all this and you take all this into account. Also look at the fact that Ryan Tannehill has been sacked 20 times so far this year. Not a great pass blocking offensive line. Good run blocking, but not great pass blocking. I think the Bills are going to dominate this game every which way possible. I know they're on the road, but they just went to Kansas City on the road, and Arrowhead, a tougher place to play than Tennessee and Nashville, and they handle their business there. So I see no reason why they will not handle their business on the Monday Night Football stage. Bills, they will cover plus 5.5. Guarantee take that bet to the bank. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the New England Patriots in Foxborough, Massachusetts. So this is plus 3.5. The spread for the Patriots at 3.5. I picked the under. The under was 50 and a half. I'm going with the under, more of a lower scoring game. Here's my issue with this in terms of the Patriots, right? And the Cowboys are going to win, and I think they're going to cover. Here's the issue with the New England Patriots. First of all, they've only scored 25 points twice this year, and both of those games were against the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. The Houston Texans and the New York Jets, two of the worst teams in all of football. They both had rookie quarterbacks, and Bill Belichick has historically done well against rookie quarterbacks. So I think those are two very big outliers, and it's very important to mention that when we have these discussions. Also, the Dallas Cowboys, I think sometimes their defense has a tendency, they play a lot of man coverage, they can get burned, right? New England doesn't have a lot of guys that can separate and make big plays down the field. Even if you saw in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game when Mac Jones had to have like 18, 19 straight completions, Mac Jones is having to do that because everything has to be in the middle of the field, everything has to be difficult, everything has to be these long extended drives because they have no game breakers. Also, the Dallas Cowboys, their defense has been opportunistic. Trayvon Diggs, the brother of Stephon Diggs, he also played with Alabama, so you could make an argument that he's going to have a little bit of a beat on how Mac Jones plays. And maybe get an interception on Mac, and Mac's turned the ball over the last couple of games. So when you take all that into consideration, also given the fact that I think the Dallas Cowboys defense, they have the run-pass balance to keep the Patriots defense a little bit off kilter, off balance, a little bit of unevening, where Bill Belichick can't necessarily get a pulse of what they're trying to do. I think they're going to win by more than 3.5 points. I think we're looking at a 6 to 7 point win, a clear 6 7 point win. I'm thinking like 26-20, 27-20. Like I said, I don't think they're going to get past that 25-point threshold. That's been the highest total they've scored all year long. I think in order for New England to win this game, they're going to have to get multiple turnovers, and I just don't see Dak Prescott throwing the ball away like that, as he's one of the best quarterbacks in all of football. And also, the Dallas Cowboys' deep passing game is one of the best in all of football. And we saw how Davis Mills in the Texas deep passing game caused the Patriots a little bit of trouble. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys by covering the spread. And also, like I said, I'm going to pick the under in this game, 50.5. Next, for the last of the guarantees, the Seattle Seahawks are going to Pittsburgh Heinz Field to face the Steelers. I'm going to go under 42.5 in terms of the point total. The Seahawks, where I'm picking the Steelers to cover at 5.5. And you might say, Dale, the Steelers have played very bad this year for the most part. And I would say you are right. But they showed a bit of sign of life against the Denver Broncos, who I want to say this. They have a better defense than the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. People have talked about how historically bad the Chiefs' defense has been. Look at Seattle. They have the second worst rushing defense in terms of total yards, and they have the second worst passing defense in the NFL in terms of total yards. So they're not very good at rushing the ball against defending the run and stopping the pass. That is a recipe for disaster, especially when you look at the fact that Pittsburgh, they finally got something going on the ground. Najee Harris had 122 rushing yards. Claypool had over 100 yards receiving. I think those are two things that can be replicated given how bad Seattle's defense is. Also, quarterback issue. Geno Smith is starting. Russell Wilson will not be playing with his hand issue or whatever he has going on. I think if Russell Wilson's playing in this game, you can pick Seattle to win by a 3-point game. You have elite quarterback play, Hall of Fame quarterback play when everything breaks down, and Russell Wilson, I trust, right? Number 3 is not going to be there. It's Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a backup for a reason. There's a reason why the New York Jets got rid of the guy. I think he played admirably against the Rams. He just came in, had a little bit of a hot hand, and they couldn't game plan for him. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the better defenses in all of the NFL in terms of talent, right? In terms of scheme, in terms of coaching. I think they're going to be able to figure out a game plan for Geno Smith. And I don't think Geno Smith is going to go through a game where he has no turnovers. I think he's going to throw the ball away a little bit during this game. And I want to get some water right here. Right? So I don't think Geno Smith's going to go through this game and not have any turnovers. And with that, if they're not going to get that elite top-tier quarterback play, I don't think they can win. This is a big one right here, and this is a tough game. Heinz Field is not an easy place to play, right? And we're talking about also they're going to be traveling cross-country all the way from Seattle, Washington to the East Coast. That's a 3-hour time difference. There's body clocks that are going on, right? So when you look at all this, I see this being like a 7-point win for Pittsburgh. And I think possibly this could be a 10-point win. I think we could see a game where the Steelers don't have to do too much. We saw them beat the Denver Broncos. It was like 27-19. They beat the Broncos more than the spread was last week. That's for damn short. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, and I think that's another guarantee. Take this to the bank. The Steelers should not lose this game. They should win this game handily, particularly the Pittsburgh Steelers want to make a wild card, right? They need to win this game. And let's also remember this. Nobody's ever mentioned Seattle in terms of having this creative play calling. They're able to scheme guys open. They're able to do all this. Nobody's ever confused Seattle with it. It's Russell or bust. Russell, I trust. Russell Wilson make magic come true. It's Geno Smith. Geno Smith can't make the same magic that Russell Wilson is. That should be your bet. So those are my 3 guaranteed bets. Take those to the bank. Last week I was 2-1. So if you want to get rich, take those into consideration. Some picks to stay away from. Raiders at Broncos. I think this is a tough game to call. I think these are both teams that start 3-0 on the season. They both lost their last 2. what the Raiders are going on with the John Gruden situation. I just wouldn't touch it. I think you should wait another week before decide on both of those teams. The Cardinals at the Browns. The Cardinals are +3. I just don't have a good beat on what I think is going to happen. Obviously, the Browns are a physical team. I think the Cardinals are a little bit more finesse. But at the end of the day, I think that it's another tough game. I don't think you know necessarily what's going to happen. The Cardinals have been undefeated to this point. I think that the Browns, obviously, they've made some tactical errors that they did against the Chargers. I think this will be a very interesting game, but I would say stay away from this. The Vikings at the Panthers. I think this is a game of two teams that are exactly the same. Just they have two different quarterbacks in Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins. It's whoever's going to have the better game, right? And you never know with those two quarterbacks. And Colts at Texans. I would put this game in my bets, but my 3 guaranteed bets, but the Colts are just too inconsistent. Right, Carson Wentz, he's hurt. He's not hurt. They're up 22-6 against the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football. Then Lamar Jackson comes back. Davis Mills. It's like, what do I make of the performance? 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the New England Patriots. Right, so I don't know. So I'm going to say don't bet on this. I know it seems like easy money right here. We know the Texans haven't been good, but the Colts have been a bit of a disappointment, and the Texans came off with a pretty good showing, right? And Davis Mills played. If they can replicate that performance, then it's like, well, what do you think, right? So then let me get to the QB prop bets. Lastly, so Justin Herbert, it was if he can get 293.5 passing yards, I'm going to say he gets the over. This year he's averaging 315.2 passing yards per game, so that should well clear that total. Also, it's important to remember they're playing Baltimore, who gives up 296.4 passing yards per game through the air. Baltimore is not great when defending the pass. I think when you also consider the fact that the Chargers, they throw at the third most attempts in the NFL. This is going to bode well for well over 300-yard game for Justin Herbert. So I would say take that in terms of QB prop bets. Also, Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 touchdowns. Every single game besides the New Orleans Saints game, which was an aberration, first game of the year, didn't have their bearings under them. New Orleans has the emotional situation of Hurricane Ida. Aaron threw no touchdowns, right? Then after that, he's thrown 4, 2, 2, and 2. I think that's what he's been. He's been 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Him and Devontae Adams, that's a very dangerous and special connection. I think this offense, the way they run it, I think usually they're good for at least 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Aaron, I think that's a pretty safe bet. At least 2 touchdowns. That clears the 1.5. And Davis Mills, I'm going to go with under 1.5. I know I said stay away from the Colts-Texans game, but at the end of the day, in terms of this, I don't think this is a bad prop bet to take into consideration when you look at this, right? Davis Mills has been pretty bad all year long. He only had 1 good game against the New England Patriots when he threw for 3 touchdown passes. Will that happen again? I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. I would bet if they do win, they're going to be able to run the ball, get some rushing touchdowns instead of Davis Mills doing it through the air. So those are my 3 guaranteed bets, some picks to stay away from. Not an ingrasse. They're not benign. They're very cancerous. And some QB prop bets to take into consideration as well. Get rich if you want to make some money, folks. If you want to make some money, do this. Take this to the bank. You can guarantee it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Outside the Shop Gambling Edition. Have a great